everybody, Adam Rogers back again. Today I've got Aidan Robertson with me, and we're going to be opening up some of these panels to do some IR scanning. But first we're going to talk about what you need to wear for safety gear. Now, normally on any given day you should be wearing a cotton shirt, cotton pants, none of these polyester-like materials that would melt directly onto your skin. So what I got on is a standard pair of coveralls. They are arc flash rated. Aidan prefers to wear the cloak, and if you look down here, he's got special little leg things that protect what the cloak doesn't cover. What we're going to be opening today is 120, 208 panels, 347, 600 panels, and according to the Power-Tek safe work practices, anything between 120 and 750 volts is considered a Category 2 risk. So that means we have to be wearing at least 12 PAL suits, which will have a hood, a balaclava, and of course the hot gloves. So Aidan's just going to go through basically what you need to put on when you're about to start this stuff. Also, don't forget about your work boots. You're going to need to have steel toe work boots or composite toe, and you've got to have their green triangle and the Omega rating on them. So first thing that Aidan's going to put in be his earplugs, because if something were to go wrong and we got a big flashbang, you're going to pop your eardrums. So this will be a little bit of added protection against that. So next thing, just for ease of use, will be the balaclava. This is going to protect your hair and your face if anything really starts to melt through the shield that we're going to put on after. Make sure you do have it tucked down inside your collar. You don't want any exposed skin. Now, after this is in place, we're going to put on our safety glasses. You only get one set of eyes. You're going to want to protect those at all costs. If something goes wrong and we've got hot molten lava, or not lava, but copper shooting at our faces, every little layer we've got on to protect those eyes, super important. So next we've got our hard hat with an arc flash shield. They're colored green to actually soften the light if something were to go wrong, because it's super bright white and it will just basically burn out your retinas. So the color of the shield will help to alleviate some of that. And the last thing that we need to put on are hot gloves, which are rubber gloves as a base layer with a set of leather gloves over top of them. Now, it's important to get these checked annually to make sure that there's no holes or any sort of breach in the gloves, because again, you don't want any air or anything getting towards your skin in the event of a catastrophe at the panels. So, I mentioned that annual testing on your gloves. There's a little quick test you can do every time you put them on. It's a good idea to do it. It's the blow test. You just basically try to blow in your glove and see if there's anything leaking out of the fingers. So you can see that it's still keeping the air. Good to go. So you just put the leather back on over top. And now you know your glove is good. Okay, now last thing that we need to talk about before we actually go into a live panel is the use of insulated tools. Our boss, Dave Lindsay, a very generous man, very concerned about our safety, provided us with this set of DeWalt 1000-volt rated insulated screwdrivers. So there's all different heads, like the Phillips, flat, Robertson, and it's interchangeable. So we've got our 1000-volt rated tool. I'm going to shield down here and we'll be ready to take off the panel cover. So we've taken off the outer cover, and of course there's always the inside cover. We also need to remove that for our IR scans, because if we can't see where the wires are making their connections into the breakers, we will not see where the most frequent hot spots actually are. So I'm going to get my hands in here, and I'm going to hold this for Aidan, making sure to keep my fingers away from any bus bars or wires that may be in there. So here we have Aidan. He's going to take a picture of the inside of the panel because we need to log both outside, inside, and then we will be doing our thermal imaging scans, which also will take pictures with the fluke meter itself. One thing I'd like to mention while Aidan is taking his readings is safe limits of approach. We have different approach boundaries based on what type of gear you may or may not be wearing. And for this 600 volt panel, basically, we have a limited approach boundary, basically saying only qualified people are allowed to be within 10 feet of the open panel. That's if there's any exposed or movable conductors. And in this case, that would be bus bars. Now, if it's an exposed fixed circuit part, then we have an approach boundary of 3.5 feet. Now, that's again for anybody who's not wearing any protective gear. Aidan is fully geared up, and he can be right up and touching this stuff if he really had to. There's also a restricted boundary of 1 foot and absolutely prohibited boundary of 1 inch from any piece of this equipment. So basically these boundaries are saying you can be this close with certain amounts of gear on without getting second-degree burns to your face, skin, and body in the event of something going horribly wrong in your electrical equipment. So, looks like Aidan is done taking his thermal scans, and I believe we're going to get ready and put the cover back onto this panel. Alright, we're ready to put our cover back on. I'm 3.5 feet away, as I just stated. It's a safe limit of approach when I'm not fully geared up. I will put my shield up and my thing over my face a little better when I get closer to it. So, important thing about putting on these covers is when you set it back in place, you want to be very slow, deliberate, and gentle. You don't want to have any wires pinched in between the cover and the backing plate or anything like that, because that can lead to disaster. So we're just going to suit up and move in. And now that we're all closed up, we can get some reprieve from the heat and go cool down a little bit. Good job, Aidan.
Good job, Adam.